Hello, this is Murph again, and today we're gonna try ZFS on Linux. If you are familiar with ZFS on the Solaris and FreeBSD, then you probably wanted to try ZFS on Linux for a while. Well, now you can, thanks to zfsonlinux.org. So if you go to this site, you'll be able to get a lot of information, download or get the installation instruction for your distribution, Linux distribution that you're trying, and install ZFS and then try it out. There are a lot of resources here, so I'm going to demonstrate the RHEL and CentOS, which is actually I have a CentOS 6.5 VM here running on VMware Fusion. You can run it on VirtualBox or VMware Workstation, VMware Player, depending on what you like. So shouldn't be a problem at all. So I have this VM here, which has a CentOS 6.5 actually. So you see here, which I'm SSH into right now. And if I go to the VM settings, you'll see I have a lot of disks. So this one I had it originally, which is where the OS is running. So and this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 disks I added just to demonstrate the ZFS or ZFS, whatever you want to call it. And it's actually very light VM, actually 1 GB memory and 1 processor. But if you're running ZFS on a and expect high performance, then I would assume you should add some more memory, because ZFS requires some memory and probably more CPU if you're doing a lot of compression, I guess. Anyway, so I'm just gonna go straight here. So for RHEL or CentOS installations, you just can follow this, and once you install it, you probably should reboot it, which I did already. I'm not going to go through that because it takes some time. It's not a very small installation. Sometimes like it takes a little longer than usual. So so I ran these 2 commands already, and then added the disks onto the VM, powered it off, and then powered back on. Once you power back on, you can just do ZFS, sorry. Oh, there is no, I think. So if you do lsmod grab ZFS, you can see all the ZFS modules that got loaded. Let me show you my system here. So if I do an fdisk-l def sd star pipe less, that'll show me all the disks that I have. So I'm just going to show you the new disk that I added. So the 16 GB one is something that is being used by my system already. As you see here, there's already partitions and it's used by LVM. And then I have this SDB, SDC, SDD, these 5 disks. Each one is 5 GB actually. It can have different sizes, but I chose to use the same size for simplicity. But there's these 5 disks I'll be using. So now, what I'm gonna do is first to create a ZFS, pool, right? So ZFS, so to do that, you go to zpool and create, and we're gonna give it a name. Pool 1, can give it a name, and let's say SDB, SDC, SDD, SDE, SDF. Probably that should do it. Okay. let's do an F because it's complaining about that. So yeah, sorry. Okay, so what I do is basically def, maybe better. Sorry about that. No. Okay. Let's try this. Oh, I have it slash it twice. Okay, that should do it. Okay, so now if I do zpool status, I see all my disks here, and they're all online. I do list. I have 24 gigabyte of this. So 5 disk, you know, some overhead. I have 24, 5 got free. You know, you can see the stats. Zpool IO stat. We will show you, you know, each disk more detail and how much bandwidth and operations right now. That's pretty handy. If you want to monitor your zpool status, you can run this command. So anyway, so what we did yesterday, we created a striped pool, right? There is no redundancy here yet. So if you want to have redundancy, then probably you should have mirror, and you could have mirror, and then you go from there. You can have RAID Z1, which is the RAID 5 equivalent of on the ZFS side. That will give you 1 failure disk. So you need at least 3 disks to have that set up. So if you have 3 disks, you can have a RAID Z1, which will be a RAID 5 equivalent. You can lose 1 disk and it should be still okay. Mirror is the fastest usually if you do mirroring. So to do that, I can show you here. So I'm just going to destroy this. So to destroy a ZFS pool here, you can just say destroy. Oh, before I do that, I should mention that when you do the creation of the pool, it is mounted already automatically for you, right? So you could do df-h. You should still see that mounted automatically, which is great, right? You don't have to do, you know, mounting by yourself. That's the beauty of ZFS. So let's destroy this ZFS. Okay, now I don't have it mounted anymore, right? So if I do zpool status, nothing there, right? So we can recreate a new pool now again. So let's recreate, go back here, and this time I'm gonna do mirror. Okay, what I did actually RAID 1 plus 0 is RAID 10, right? So these 2 disks are mirror and these 2 disks are mirror, right? So I can have 1 failure on each side, but it can still mirror and have great performance. As you see here, you know, mirror 0 and mirror 1, right? So if I do a list, you see I have only 9 gigs, so each, you know, 2 disks, you know, 5, 1 disk from each side, and the other one is mirror. This is a really fast performance setup, but you can do all sorts of things, and this ZFS on Linux site has documentation of different setups. So you can have log. ZFS has this concept called log, slog or zlog, whatever they call it. I think if you go here, right, it's called ZFS intent log. So you can have a separate log partition. So you can have a disk for that specific piece only, and that will give you better performance. Caching is the same thing. Like you can have a separate disk for caching. So if you want a high performance disk, then probably you could go mirror your disk as well as have a separate partition for caching. Right, so you can do a lot of things. So this is RAID 1.1 plus 0, so the RAID 10, right, that we just did. So I'm going to do destroy. So same thing here. If I do df minus h, right, you'll see that I have that pull mounted. So I'm going to do this pull destroy and ZFS pull 1. Okay, now we're going to create a RAID Z plus 1, which is RAID Z1, which is basically a RAID 5 kind-ish setup, right? So to do that, I'm just going to do for RAID Z1, you just need 3 disks, so I can just do 3 disks here. You can do all sorts of things with ZFS, right? So here I'm going to say RAID Z1. I just need 3 disks. That's fine. Right, so if I do ZFS, Zpool, Zpool. So I'm in Canada. So anyway, so see here, I have this 3 disk here, and it says that it's using RAID Z1, right? And I have actually 15 gig, right? So 3 disks. But I can lose 1 disk, depending on the usage. Destroy. Sorry. Okay, now we're gonna do a, let's see. The higher rate you go, the performance will be slower. I would say, mirror is the fastest from the redundancy side of things, and then if you go RAID Z1, it's a little bit slower, and you go up more levels, then it gets slower a little bit. All we do is df3 5. We do RAID Z1. See, I have 5 disks, all 5 disks. I could have 4 disks, so I could lose 2 disks, but here, see here, IO stat. Okay, so that's just basic of ZFS, right? Now we can do a lot of things. You see here, you can do snapshot of ZFS, compression, right? There's instructions around that here, thanks to this site actually, and you can do deduplication, right? You can do a lot of things, right? So if you have VMs, if you're building your own storage machine, like NFS or NAS, and you want to serve that storage for your virtual environment, like VMware or KVM or other products like Zen, then you probably want to use deduplication, because you might have similar VMs. So you might have a lot of Windows or Linux VMs that you want to store. Then you might want to try deduplication. That way you don't use a lot of space, you save a lot of space, but there's a price, right? Processing and compression, this all requires processing as well on the computing side as well, and memory. So you might have to consider all that, but there are instructions here that you can take a look. Anyway, I think that's about it, just the beginning. So the great thing is that you can run ZFS on Linux today. So I wouldn't say if it's production ready yet, but I would say it will be at some point. But there's still some caveats, but all depends on what you are willing to wish. And if you test your setup, you should be all set, I think. Anyway, thank you for watching.